want to greet our premier candidate and the chairperson of KwaZulu-Natal, Comrade Tami Duli, the chairperson of Gauteng province, Comrade Bongosi Dlamini, all amakhosi asendlunkulu akhona phakathi kwethu, bingelele ngokukhethekileyo kwinkosi yesizwe sakwaButhelezi, umntwana uZuzifa Buthelezi, kanye nondlunkulu ukaMohale, bingelele kumntwana uPhumzile, umntwana uSibuyiselwe, yonke amalungu omndeni owaphinda ngene akhona phakathi kwethu. Besawubingelela uMrs. Hlabisa, uMazwide, uThandeka Hlabisa, umndeni wonke wakwaHlabisa okhona phakathi kwethu. All our honored guests, leaders of the clergy who are present, izinduna, amabutho who are present amongst us, and all members of the IFP from all the provinces of South Africa who are the witnesses in the launch of our Manifesto 2024. I want to greet all members of the diplomatic corps present. I want to greet Themba Gwabeni, the team leader of all our delegation from Northwest, as well as Alpheus Makumu, who is also a team leader for the delegation from Limpopo. As I rise to the stage today to present the IFP Manifesto, I do so with a strong sense of hope and courage, because I know South Africa is a beautiful country. South Africa is formed of people who constitute a resilient nation, men and women endowed with special skills, talents, and determination. The people of South Africa know how and when it is time to stand together and fight for a common purpose. During the era of apartheid, the people of goodwill stood together and set South Africa politically free in 1994. The people of South Africa have demonstrated that we are able to excel and overcome. We have competed with other nations of the world, as the Bafana did in the World Cup, in the Africa Cup of Nations in 2024, as the Springboks did in the World Rugby Cup in 2023, and the team South Africa also demonstrated in the 2023 Special Olympics World Games in 2023. Our capacity as a nation has been demonstrated by Taylor, the Best African Music Performance winner in 2024, again by Walter Kellerman, Zakes Bantwini, and Nomtebo Zibote with the Global Best Music Performance in 2023. Clearly, as the nation and the people of South Africa, our country have a capacity to excel and overcome. Unfortunately, when it comes to the socio-economic conditions in our country, things are worse than 5 years ago in South Africa. The economy is barely growing and unable to create job opportunities. The rate of unemployment is now sitting at 41%. Crime is devastating our communities. Our women and children cannot go freely and safe in our streets. Load shedding have destroyed our economy to a point of collapse. The cost of living keeps going up. Increasing fuel prices push up the cost of food and transport. After 30 years of gaining our freedom, hard earned in our country, South Africa stand on the brink of collapse, not because of any lack in our people, but because South Africa has been subjected to poor governance, to weak leadership and corruption. In 2024, across the length and breadth of South Africa, there is one resounding call, the call for change. In every village and in every city, in the schools, in the ship-ins, in the hostels and boardrooms of our nation, on the factory floors and in the queues to access services, the call for change is heard loud and clearly. It is coming from the economists and from children who have no transport to go to school. It is coming from the unemployed, from the victims of crime, from the businesses and households struggling with load shedding. The call for change is echoed through our nation. All the people of South Africa, we are united in calling for change to happen now, before it is too late. Because in 2024, South Africa stands on a precipice. Behind us is the litany of empty promises and the government's failures that have brought us to this point of a brink towards failure. Below us is the chasm of economic collapse. As we stand here today, I, however, have a courage because we can still see a better way. We can envisage the South Africa that was within our grasp in 1994 when we crossed the threshold into democracy. Today, we must make a way to arrive at the South Africa we envisaged in 1994. Today, we must bridge the chasm and avoid the utter destruction of our country. In the past few weeks, politicians have stood in this very podium and tried to convince you that it is not as bad as you see, and the chasm is not that deep. They have tried to convince you that the economic collapse will never happen, and if it does, it should be blamed on someone else. You have heard all this and you have not found hope. But today, the bridge builders, the IFP, have come here to you not to give empty promises and also not to create false hope. A different message will emanate from this place today, because the IFP speak to the truth. Today, we come as the game changers and the history makers who are ready to bring change in 2024. The IFP has come to launch an election manifesto that offers exactly what the people of South Africa need. Solutions to our problems. The IFP has come here today to tell you the honest truth and give you hope. Today the IFP is launching a manifesto that contains the message of hope and that will bring change in our country. The manifesto we launched today contains solutions. It contains practical approach to the biggest crisis facing our nation. And our manifesto will give you reasons why you must go and vote on the 29th of May and vote the IFP. The IFP's manifesto is the result of an intensive campaign of listening to all people of South Africa, engaging with experts, assessing and considering the debates and fine-tuning the views of the people of South Africa. Every policy we put forward in the document I'm going to present today has been carefully designed to fix the problems efficiently, cost-effectively, and in a sustainable, just, and equitable way. The IFP is unique in that we do have the courage to take bold steps. We are not held at ransom by a need to please. We are not held at ransom by a need to please ideologies that have no place in a democratic South Africa. The only limitation on the solutions we design is our demand that they be just and can be justly applied. We put our principles at the core of everything we do. We may not be the oldest liberation movement, but we have long outlasted our peers in terms of consistency and principles. Through the process of listening and preparing this manifesto, the IFP recognized 13 fundamental challenges requiring focus on 13 specific items to deal with the challenges facing our country. We therefore designed a 13-point plan which will be a package of solutions and the program of action to turn things around. The 13-point plan will make every South African understand why on the 29th of May he or she must go and vote the IFP. The first point is about jobs. Trust us to get you working. Political freedom has not delivered social and economic justice for all. In fact, South Africa has the most pronounced levels of inequality in the world. Our future, our freedom, our dignity depend on our ability to work, but our economy has stagnated, causing devastating levels of unemployment, specifically amongst our youth. The IFP therefore champions inclusive, market-led economic policies that empower all South Africans and contribute to our country's overall economic growth and development. We believe that economic emancipation is central in addressing the imbalances of the past. The IFP will get South Africa working. And the IFP government therefore will do the following to get South Africa working. We will enforce a set of 80:20 employment target. Companies must employ a minimum of 80% of the people of South Africa compared to the foreign nationals. The IFP will reserve job opportunities in the entry-level and low-skill sectors for South Africans only, focusing on our youth. We will reserve the small enterprise market and the spaza shops industries for the people of South Africa, including support of the local business economy, and this will effectively mean all the spaza shops in our town occupied by foreign nationals will have to be returned to the people of South Africa in order that our economy develops and improves the lives of the people of South Africa. By so saying, we are not xenophobic, but South Africans must come first. Every job opportunity must be given to a person of South Africa before considering any foreign national. We will revamp local economic development and restructure the Small Enterprise Development Agency to reduce business failures and create meaningful jobs. We will support the expansion of the industrial cannabis and hemp industries, which will be a catalyst to the local economic growth and job creation. We will roll out an unemployment graduate grant of 3,000 rand to a fixed period to assist all the unemployed graduates in finding a meaningful employment. We will redirect some of the billions spent on CETA to ensure that all graduates are given a 12 months internship at municipalities, provincial and national government. We will support the small-scale farming as a measure to revitalize the economy while recognizing traditional leaders as a key player in land management and the transformation of our rural economy. We will overhaul restrictive labor legislation that impedes job creation. We will promote fiscal restraint and limit public debt. We will further refuse the bailout for state-owned entities and instead resuscitate SOEs, fostering competition and innovation where possible, while forming public-private partnership for SOEs that cannot be resuscitated. We will open the energy market and diversify energy generation as the few examples of creating job opportunities in South Africa. The second point, crime, corruption, and gender-based violence. Trust us to keep you safe. Corruption, coupled with inefficiency and apathy, has eroded the capacity of government to deliver. Billions of rands have disappeared in the corrupt hands of our government. As a result, the most vulnerable amongst us have been deprived of opportunities for development and advancement. Levels of crime and violence are staggering, particularly amongst women and our children. The IFP, therefore, believes that the immediate and radical reform is required to strengthen the justice system, security, military, and intelligence services. The IFP will take bold measures to protect women, children, and the most vulnerable in our society by doing the following. We will work with communities to end crime by working closely with community policing forums and providing safe channels for citizens to report criminal activities. We will support traditional courts and enhance levels and enhance roles for traditional leaders in the provincial and local government spheres, which will help to achieve greater peace and security in our communities. We will open a national debate on the reinstatement of the death penalty to deter violent crimes. We will revisit legislation to ensure that bail is denied to perpetrators of violence against women and children, particularly on cases of murder. We will promote as a new government that anyone who is involved on a murder case does not get a bail until he or she is found not guilty. We will ensure that specialized courts to deal with corruption and gender-based violence and femicide are fully operational. We will ensure that dedicated SAPS officers are specially trained to deal with GBVF and are stationed at all police stations where GBVF is rampant. We will ensure that the survivors of the GBVF can easily access the services they need. We will increase the SANDF resources and equipment, improve training, establish effective intelligence gathering, combat corruption and criminal activity, and improve the welfare of military veterans. We will ensure that the SANDF is skilled and prepared for traditional biological, cyber, or electronic warfare. We will deploy the SANDF to communities where social ills, crime, gangsterism are rife. We will ensure a strong, capable, capacitated, and funded National Prosecuting Authority, and we will support restorative justice as an effective alternative to traditional punitive measures. Point number 3, illegal foreigners. Trust us to put South Africa first. The IFP believes that the failure of the state to manage migration has led to national crisis. The IFP position is that while fairness is necessary, illegal migrants are law breakers who pose a threat to safety and security of our country, while placing a heavy strain on South Africa's resources. The IFP government, therefore, we will immediately deploy the SANDF to ports of entry and borders and fortify our borders through the construction of border walls to strengthen border controls and ensure the integrity of our borders. We will invest in state-of-the-art border control technology, including drone technology, while resourcing border management to prevent illegal migration, human trafficking, drug smuggling, terrorism, and other cross-border criminal activities. We will invest in a standalone, capacitated national immigration inspectorate. We will ensure that all companies in South Africa comply, that 80% of the labor they employ are the people of South Africa. Any company that transgresses that, we will take firm actions because we believe South Africans must come first. Fourth point, load shedding. Trust us to secure energy future. South Africa faces a severe energy crisis due to corruption, mismanagement, and lack of strategic vision. Our country's energy supply has become unreliable, unsustainable, and unable to support effective and growing economy. Alternative sources of energy must be embraced as we go into the future. The IFP government, therefore, will stabilize the electricity power grid. Eskom is a national asset which has been mismanaged into a state of severe despair. Eskom must be managed through a public-private partnership in order to ensure that Eskom is able to sustain the economy of our country and create job opportunities for our youth. We will further subsidize the price of electricity for poor and historical disadvantaged communities. We will deregulate fuel. The fuel industry is excessively regulated. Fuel imports should be thrown open to anyone who can provide necessary guarantees and who can build refineries that meet the essential safety standard laid in terms of our law. We will cut unnecessary fuel levies, as these should not be used to subsidize expenditure in hidden areas unrelated to fuel industry. We will maintain the coal production, acknowledging that coal remains a key source of energy. Whilst coal is being used for energy generation, it also has the potential to produce large variety of chemical products. The IFP will favor the extension of the use of gas for domestic purposes, especially for cooking and heating. We will promote wind turbines and solar power, which presents an enormous opportunity for private investment in the generation of power for own use and supply into the grid. We will install solar panels in all the new government houses that we will build as a new government. We will ensure that nuclear energy remains part of the mix in the hands of the state. We will support the hydroelectric power generation, efficiently utilizing the waste resources of our country. The benefits must be explored, researched, developed, and made available to local communities and companies in our country, local and indigenous communities from reduced tariffs. When the IFP can be given an opportunity, load shedding will be a thing of the past. We will not behave like a member of a ruling party who stood in parliament during the SONA debate and said, load shedding is not the end of the world. The IFP says load shedding is the end of the world in our economy. Load shedding is the end of the world in our people when they are subjected to darkness during the night. The fifth point in our 13th plan is education. Trust us to equip and empower you. South Africa's education system needs to be rebuilt. It is hammering our children's future and the future of our country. Many of our children have no desks or books or toilets, and their education is held at ransom by unions who seems to be accountable to only themselves. The matric pass rate has been lowered to 30%, which has compromised the quality of our education. It is no surprise, therefore, that the economy is underperforming due to the lack of skills. The IFP believes in free, equitable, and quality basic education for all, and state-sponsored higher education for poor and low-income families to address the inequalities of the past. Inclusivity is the central tenet to the IFP's educational vision. The IFP government, therefore, under education, will do the following. We will implement free basic education and state-sponsored higher education for the poor and the low-income families as a fundamental component of our education policy. We will enhance teaching and learning standards while providing adequate resources, classrooms, laboratories, libraries, and every resource a child needs at school in order to develop maximally. We will roll out free scholar transport and efficiently run nutrition scheme in all public schools with no element of corruption, as we saw it happening in KwaZulu-Natal at the beginning of the year. We will implement comprehensive school transport policies that prioritizes safety. We will ensure strict regulations that will be enforced to prevent unsafe conditions like overcrowding. The IFP will promote the involvement of the parents, empower school principals, and well-trained, motivated educators. We will promote the enforcement of discipline in our schools through compliance to the school code of conduct. The IFP, we will ensure the development of high-tech classrooms of the future by promoting the use of technology like e-books and e-learning, while ensuring that all schools have access to internet. We will invest in in-service training for teachers and promote the support and development programs and reopen all the colleges of education that were closed down by the current government. Our country still needs teachers of high quality. We will therefore reopen the colleges of education that were closed down, and the majority of whom in this province of KwaZulu-Natal were built by the late Prince of Wapindangene, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Point number 6, healthcare. Trust us, we will help when you need the most help in your life. The South African health system faces a multitude of challenges that have hindered its ability to provide adequate healthcare services to its citizens. Tragically, the state of our healthcare system reflects a country in crisis. The IFP government will do the following in order to provide the maximum health system for the people of South Africa. We will champion the universal health coverage. Every South African must have equal access to equitable, accessible, quality, and state-sponsored health services. We will clamp down on corruption within the healthcare system while rooting out fruitless, wasteful, and irregular expenditure. We will fix key challenges such as understaffing, inadequate resources, poor leadership and management, and poor infrastructure in the public health sector. We will address vigorously the shortage of healthcare professionals, including doctors. Under the IFP-led government, there will be no qualified medical doctor who will stay at home unemployed while vacant posts are many in the public hospitals. Under the IFP-led government, there will be no qualified professional nurse who will stay at home unemployed while there are vacancies in our hospitals. The IFP will ensure that we provide the best equipment in all our public hospitals in order to ensure that the citizens of our country receive the best medical attention. We will ensure that in each and every community, at a close proximity, there will be a clinic as a first point of call when a person is sick before going to the hospital. The IFP will promote the district health system and primary care model as crucial component of a functional health system. We will ensure that we reduce the high cost of medicine for all South Africans. We will ensure that we establish the provincial centers for medical innovation and research. We will improve service delivery and ensure the additional infrastructure in the national health laboratory services is provided. We will increase the support for the mental health services. We will invoice countries whose citizens are in South Africa. Any foreign national who is treated in a South African hospital, we will invoice the country of origin of that foreign national. We will not deprive a foreign national to get medical help, but we will make the country of origin responsible for its citizen. Point 7, the human settlements. Trust us for a safe and dignified homes. The IFP government will subsidize housing for citizens who cannot afford homes. We will implement a rent-to-own scheme by developing low-cost housing programs with the private sector with an ownership provision. We will ensure the development of social and affordable housing options and opportunities in partnership with the private sector. We will identify parcels of state land for development by provincial government and municipalities. We will roll out serviced sites to self-home building available to community forums and stock faires. We will ensure the promotion of 10 key rural housing programs, development in rural communities with priorities given to people residing under Ingonyama Trust. We will ensure that the qualifying income for fully subsidized houses will be changed from 0 rand to 3,500 per month to 0 to 5,500 per month. We will introduce a housing benefit scheme for those earning above the subsidy threshold, because there is a missing middle who do not benefit in the current existing government housing scheme because their salary is a little bit above, but not necessary to allow them to build houses on their own. The IFP government, therefore, will introduce a housing benefit program for those earning above the sub-threshold. And we will eradicate the apartheid style development in hostels and integrate the existing hostels into our communities. Here at eThekwini, we will eradicate the transit camps, which has been a living place for our people, which is a very unhealthy condition for many years. Point number 9, infrastructure. Trust us for service delivery. Functioning infrastructure is vital to deliver basic service delivery. The government's failure to deliver services has become par the course. It has been allowed to take down our country. Infrastructure has been allowed to be broken down. Roads have been damaged. with no program to repair them. Potholes have become something we live with on a daily basis. The railway line system has been damaged. As a result, these trains that should be supporting our economy in transporting goods and coal in areas from Richards Bay has been affected tremendously. This has weakened our economy. The IFP-led government, therefore, will prioritize infrastructure. We will ensure the universal access to safe, affordable water and sanitation by 2020 and replace community water tanks with long-term solutions. The people of Tewini, as I speak, are without water, which is a shame to the ruling party in this metro. The IFP will ensure that water resources are protected and preserved while strengthening the regulatory framework for water and sanitation, quality and safety. We will define the roles of provincial governments in water and sanitation management by ensuring regular government control and radiation for all water suppliers. The IFP will promote efficiently and manage the basic infrastructure grant provided to municipalities. The projects will be handled through a well-resourced and district-wide shared project management unity. This will avoid the current situation where many municipalities cannot spend their grants and return funding to the national government while roads remain in a state